I chose to go into that chaos and grab my community to guide me. And I got out fast because of it. If you want out of the chronic disease situation that the world is in right now, that's what you're going to need to do. It's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be scary. And everybody's going to tell you, go right, go right, go. There's no traffic over there. Go right. It's really easy. Go right. But going right in health right now, what that means is eating the food that feels good to your brain. What that means is eating all day, because I can't eat. Most people can't even go 7 to 8 hours without food. It means trauma bonding over food with people, because all the girlfriends go out and eat together, and I don't want to disrupt that. So I don't want to like upset the boat. It means doing health when maybe your spouse is like, are you crazy? Why are you doing this? It means like overriding that signal in your brain that is telling you over and over and over again, what are you doing? Why are you going upstream? You do go to the left. Go into it. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm back. I'm here. So I'm happy to be with you. First, just a little thing, because a lot of you guys have reached out to me, and it's very sweet. I was evacuated once again last night out of the Hollywood Hills, so I have been evacuated 3 times since Tuesday morning. Um, so I'm here. I'm emotionally here, emotionally raw. Let's just put it that way. And I just found out my childhood home is gone, and my childhood neighborhood, and the house that we were living in may still be standing. So that could be interesting. Um, but um, but yeah, it's been my house that I was living in started was, if you're watching the news, was the epicenter of the Palisades fire, and so it's been a long couple of days, and 3 evacuations in such a short period of time was quite startling. So I'm just saying that because there's a lot of lessons I'm learning. There's a lot of things I'm gathering. I'm still in a state of shock. And yet it was really important to me to come to you for 2 reasons. Um, a lot of you follow me on socials, and I promise that I will always show up my authentic version. I never put a filter on anything. I will never tell you that the world is amazing when the world is not amazing. Like, I just am committed to being authentic. And I won't tell you fasting's amazing if it's not amazing. Like, it's really important to me to show up authentically. So this is what I'm authentically going through right now. The other thing is that I'm learning a lot about the power of community, which is what we're all doing here together. Whether you are seeing the people fasting with you or not. I'll tell you something that, when you see flames coming down your back canyon, and you have seconds to get out of your home, you start to realize that the most important thing is your own life. And I've been thinking a lot about my exit out of my Palisades home on Tuesday morning. And it just became that the most important thing for me was to keep myself safe, and that other stuff it's just stuff. And I think that that is a very incredible core belief that we lose sight of. And I tell you that now because it's what I'm going through. And it just, thank you for showing up. It feels, and thank you for letting me talk a little bit about it. I want to be here for you. I don't want to make this about me. But I'm raw right now. So I just want you to know where my heart's at. But what was interesting is that I've spent in my practice, I sat at the deathbed of four patients and four people who had cancer, four people that wish they had had another opportunity to do life differently. And I learned a lot from these four people about regret, and especially when it comes to human life. And I just want to really emphasize today what you have done for yourself today, what you have done for yourself this weekend. This week could have, I keep losing track of time, so I apologize if I misquote the day, but it doesn't it seems like a 3-day water fast you wanted to lose weight in. It seemed like a 3-day water fast maybe you just wanted to challenge yourself to. But what could potentially be going on underneath all of that is that you actually took this ginormous step forward in your own health and saved your own life. And the problem we have with health habits is you don't know the disease you weren't going to get because your health habits saved yourself from that. I didn't know the added trauma I could have potentially put myself in if I had cared more about my worldly goods and didn't get myself out of the neighborhood that was on fire as quickly as I possibly can. And so when life is seems overwhelming, I think we always have to come down to the core belief that our health and our safety is the most important thing. And these four people who I sat with at on their deathbed, one of them was a dear friend. I write about her in all my books. Her name is Lanny, and she had so much she could, if she could have done it over again, she would have done it over again. She did not want to leave. And yet, that was her plight because she put everything above her health. At 40 years old, she was given a cancer diagnosis she went in for a routine mammogram, came out with no symptoms, came out with a diagnosis of metastatic breast cancer, and was given 3 months to live. At month 2.5, she landed in my office, and she was there to actually have me help her child with asthma. And I could see that she was completely bald and had been through chemotherapy. And I started to ask her about herself. And she was quite guarded. It took some time to unwind her. And then finally, after over several weeks, she told me, I have metastatic breast cancer and they've given me 3 months to live. And the first question I asked her was, Lanny, have they taught you how to eat? Did they teach you how to eat? And she's like, I don't understand what this has to do with my cancer diagnosis. And I said, the foods that are in our grocery store are carcinogenic. They can cause cancer. This is back in, I don't know, the early 2000s that this was going on. And so she said, I don't understand, Mindy. How could this be? And so I literally took her, that was on a Monday, and we set an appointment on Thursday to go to the local supermarket so I could teach her how to read a label, because she wanted to know if the food caused cancer, what did she need to do to unwind the food? And I took her through the aisles and I showed her the labels. And I'm like, do you see red dye number here? Do you see the nitrites? This is what they're doing. Do you see partially hydrogenated oils? These are carcinogenic. Do you see this? And after about an hour in the grocery store teaching Lanny how to read a label, she looked at me and she said, are you fucking kidding me? This store is called Safeway. And are you telling me I've been buying food from this store for my whole life and supplying it to my children, and it's not safe? And I said, yeah, Lanny, that's what I'm telling you. And that fueled a woman who was on, got, like, I don't want to say on fire. I can't sound, a woman who was motivated to change her own health and change other people's health. And what she did is she wanted to know everything she possibly could about how to avoid these toxic chemicals. And so she and I partnered up, and I literally like started to give her a tutorial on food. And the more educated she got, the more she started teaching everybody else. And what ended up happening is we actually started to go, because I was like, we have to get to the kids. This is like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It had to have been 15 years ago. And I was like, Lanny, we got to get to the kids. And so Lanny and I became a road show. And we went to elementary schools. We went to corporations. I rented these big churches. She was a part of that. And we brought all of her friends in. And we educated over and over and over again, trying to teach people your food is killing you. And then Lanny would get up and Lanny would say, if I knew better, I would do better. I just didn't know better. And she turned a 3-month diagnosis into 10 years. She saw her daughter graduate valedictorian, and she saw her son grow up into middle school. When she would invite all her friends to my office to listen to me, talk and educate what she was learning, to educate everybody else. We would get at the end of these big events. Ironically, one of the places we rented was called the Women's Club. And after the end, I would say, well, what do you think? Like, how did we do? Did your friends hear it? And she's like, I just don't understand. My friends think they're coming here just to support me because I have cancer, but I have them here so they don't end up like me. And so Lanny and I did that for 10 years. And when she went into hospice care, I tried to orchestrate a team. Her cancer came back, and I tried to orchestrate a team around her to help her healing. But she was in hospice care, and it was going quick. The cancer had come back, and the last time I saw her was 4 days before she died, and she was completely bald, had these piercing blue eyes. One breast gone because they had done a mastectomy, and her liver, it had metastasized to her liver, and her liver had completely ground. And on the last time I saw her, she wasn't speaking. She was in a coma. And I looked her in the eye and sat there and just telepathically talked to her. I don't even remember completely what I said. And the reason I tell you this story is because I had a lot of regret that I didn't say something profound to this woman who that we had done incredible work together. We had taken 3 months and we had turned it into 10 years. And she got to see her daughter graduate and so many amazing things. And what do you say to somebody who you've walked their chronic disease path with them? How do you say goodbye to that? And so I've had a lot of guilt about that over the years. And this year through breath work, I got a hold of the fact that the most important thing was that I showed up for Lanny, which is why I'm here with you today. Is the most important thing is that we show up. I may not know the most important thing to tell you today on your 3-day water fast. I'm going to try. But what I do know is that the important thing was that I'm here, and I'm still energetically supporting you through your 3-day water fast. And I'm knowing that for many of you, what you did for your bodies today will have prevented a diagnosis of cancer, will have stopped the progression of Alzheimer's, will have unwound you from metabolic syndrome. And I don't want you to lose the triteness of a large water fast like this, because what you did for yourself this week is ginormous. And sometimes we don't know the way, sometimes we don't know the right answer, but you keep going forward. And even if you keep stumbling, you pick yourself up and you keep going forward with your health. And that's what you did this week for you. And what also I learned from Lanny was that your health doesn't just affect you. And this is a huge one, because we tend to think what we eat, how we exercise, the supplements we take, um, how many drinks we have at night, whatever it is, like that our health habit is not is somehow only in our world, and it's not. It's not. I'm still friends with the families of these four patients. I just was crushed this summer that Lanny's son had graduated from college, and her husband messaged me and said, "Can you come celebrate Marcus's graduation?" And I couldn't. I couldn't make it. I was out of town promoting Fast Like a Girl, and I couldn't make it. I that family knows that what we all did together to save Lanny. And I just want you, if you ever get in a place where you are like, I'm not sure that I want to stick to my diet, I don't know about this fasting thing, I know I'm not supposed to eat this, but I just want the pleasure of the food today, I want you to know first that it's the little habits that we do over time that just makes a decision if you are going to go in a direction of chronic disease, or you are going to go in a path of health. So yes, it's hard to overcome the dopamine saturation that the food industry has put into our minds, but fight for it. Fight for it. You can do it. Try to overcome it. And fasting is the most beautiful way to unwind the dopamine hit and the addiction that the food world has created in you. This is the best way. It is better than Ozempic, and we talked about that yesterday, and it's better than Ozempic because you still need Ozempic to be able to lose weight. When you start to fast, you don't need anybody else but you to save you. And when you think, oh, well, I guess, I just fell back into these bad habits, I want you to remember that it's the micro bad habits that lead us into the diagnoses. And I also want you to know that if you ever, ever, ever think that your health just affects you, you are 1,000% wrong. Your health affects the closest people in your circle. And for some of you, you are the only one that's trying to break that circle apart. And you're trying to show a new way to do things. Stay your course. You know what I'm trying to break apart? I'm trying to break apart a paradigm that's profiting off of you all staying sick. You think that's hard? That's crazy hard. So we're in this together. We are in this moment of healing together. You are never alone. And just like I've been against odds here in LA, trying to literally run from a fire for 24 hours, I had people around me supporting me, and that made all the difference in the world. But when I had to decide on Tuesday if I was going to stay and gather all my favorite things, um, and take that extra moment to gather all my favorite things as my neighborhood was lighting up on fire, I realized no, that things are just things. If like I didn't want to die, but like my death would have affected a lot of people. And so we can look at it in a crisis, or we can look at it from chronic disease. You get the choice. And what I learned in a moment where all my resources went to my limbic system, what I learned in that moment is that the biggest thing I cared about was staying alive. And I think that should be our root focus, whether you are running from a fire or you are trying to prevent a chronic disease issue, because you matter to people around you. And so I get what you're doing is hard. I get it. I mean, I've had the luxury of eating some things, not a ton over the last couple of days, but running from fires isn't easy either. And yet we live in a world that wants us to be comfortable. And you live in this modern world now where comfortable is killing you. you not getting off the couch and exercising, you not telling yourself, I'm going to retrain my taste buds so that I can start to crave good food, you deciding I'm going to make a meal instead of order a meal and have it show up at my front door, you making a choice to choose mild discomfort is what is going to save your life in this modern world. Because the healthcare system does not honor symptoms. You have been taught that symptoms are bad. You have been taught that whatever you do makes symptoms go away. And so as a human race, we have no neuronal pathways in our brain for discomfort. But when you use fasting as a tool, I keep thinking how ironic that I had a gut instinct at Christmas to do my 3-day water fast before you all. And I wanted to do it last week before you, so that if I had any new insights that I could bring to you, that I would have new language to bring to you. But what I didn't know was that why I did the 3-day water fast and the difficult moments I had last week prepared me for this week. Because this week has been one of the hardest weeks of my life. And thank God I know what it feels like when hunger kicks in and every part of my being wants to eat. And I've learned new skill sets in my brain to override those moments. Those were the same skill sets I relied on this week to evacuate 3 times. This is the power of a 3-day water fast. So if you are thinking that this was just so you could unstick weight, I told you all the first day, before I knew this was what my week was going to be like, I told you that you were going to learn something about yourself in this process. And what I'm hoping, I know we're all on different days, but what I'm hoping is that in the difficult this week, you came up with new phrases like, you can do this. My body's got this. I'm so happy that I'm doing this with other people. I can't believe what I'm capable. Put it in the chat. What did you learn about yourself? The most powerful thing that I can do hard things is always put in there. Who learned they can do hard things this week? Put it in there, because that matters. Because I'll tell you what, I learned that I could save my own life twice now. That I learned I learned this week I have a really good gut instinct. I'll tell you about that in a moment. I learned that when you are looking at a fire straight in the face, that things don't matter. I learned that I have a lot of people that love me, and that me staying alive was really important for those people. And you learn in the adversity what matters, and you create new neuronal pathways. But this world is going to continue to tell you to be comfortable. And I am going to say no. Microdose discomfort. Discomfort. I will tell you that a good friend of mine, I'm interviewing him in a month on my podcast. Jeff Krasno is putting out a book called Good Stress. You all should get it. It's pre-order it now. Just go pre-order it. It's a Hay House book. All the best books are Hay House books. And when I asked him what was the why he wrote that book, he said to me, well, one of the things I learned in the pandemic was that so many people were fighting with each other that we didn't have the capability of talking to each other in respectful ways when we disagree with each other. And so he ended up making these crazy posts on socials saying like, this is how I'm feeling about the pandemic. How are you all feeling? And people would go in on the comments and they would start fighting with each other. This happens on my socials all the time. I literally have to hire people to stop the fighting on my socials because everybody wants to wag their finger at the next person and tell them what they shouldn't be doing. And so what he did instead is he invited those people in, and he literally spent the pandemic on phone calls with people who disagreed with his idea about the pandemic. And he said in that, he learned a lot about differences of opinions. And he learned a lot about how do you have reasonable conversations. And you can go learn about it in his book, Good Stress. I think that's what it's called. Jeff Krasno. So you learned this week something that will save your life. You took a step forward, and not only did you tell your body, I love you so much, I want to be a partner with you in expression of health, but you also, whether your loved ones agreed with you or not, your intentions, your actions told everybody around you that you care so much about your health that you are going to take this huge step forward into taking food out of the equation for 3 days so your body could heal itself. And whether those people around you honored that or not, you gave not only yourself a gift, but you gave everybody who loved you a gift. Just like last night, I got thinking, I left my favorite sleep mask by my bed. And I started crying because I left my favorite sleep mask by my bed. Now I can go get another sleep mask. Um, but it was like this weird morning. Anybody ever lost a house in a fire? Like, you know what this is. It was like this weird moment of like, what, the sleep mask? I then, by the way, was like, oh, I left all these books I was reading. I'm like, oh my God, my books. I love my books so much. And I had highlighted them and I had all these books. And I was like, I'd spent so much time reading. I love reading. And I'm like, but I could buy those books again. But the reason I'm telling you this is as my brain has been like processing this, what I'm so grateful to myself for is that I had one guiding light, and that was to keep myself safe and keep myself alive. And I want to tell you that I hope you can find that without going through the stress that I just went through. You can find that, but it is going to take some difficult hurdles. It is not going to be easy. It's going to take when you have been marginalized in your doctor's office and they've made you feel like shit, that you stand up for yourself. It's going to take when you are in some part of your health journey that is chronic, whether maybe it's chronic pain. I've gone through opioid addiction with my mom, and that is intense because pain is hard. And yet it's much easier for somebody to hand you a pill and say, let me make your pain go away. It's much easier for somebody to hand you Ozempic and say, let me help you lose weight now. The world wants to keep you comfortable because you can be manipulated better when you are comfortable. The people can profit off you better when you are comfortable. So if you are going to stand up for yourself, and I have a goal to live to 100. I want to see what 100 looks like. I want to freaking throw the biggest party at 100. I really want to live to 100. I have a very clear vision of that. I have a plan for that. And so I'm not going to live comfortably to 100. I'm going to have to move out of comfort into discomfort to make sure that I keep pushing my body in small little microdoses of pushing my body so it understands that it can get stronger in discomfort. And I'm going to need to keep putting myself in mental environments that just feel awkward. I've never worn the same amount of clothes in the same for this long. I don't even have, I mean, I've like, don't even, I've got to go get a whole new wardrobe. And like, I'm just like, but this, I am learning so much about myself in this discomfortable moment. And when I come out of this acute PTSD I'm in, I know that the lessons will come pouring in. And what I know right now is that the number one lesson is my survival mattered. It mattered more than anything else. And what I've learned from the outpouring of love that has come my way is that my survival actually mattered for a lot of people. And I don't think we always know that. So, what you are doing for yourself as you learn to fight against these food addictions and you push yourself into new fasting lanes is that you are asking your body to be a partner with you and asking yourself to hang in there through the discomfort. And here's another crazy thing that happened to me that I just now attached to this water fast. The first day of my water fast, I was in my house in the Palisades by myself, and I went to go to sleep, and I was 20 hours into my fast, and I started to feel some intense back pain. And I was like, there it is. I've been here before. I've done enough fasts. I know what this back pain is. And my brain then, of course, went to, oh God, this is only, I'm not even really 24 hours in. Is this back pain, is my body going to take on the back pain and it's going to heal the back? Is that what's going to happen over the next, X amount of time? Like if I got 3 days of this kind of back pain, that's really hard. And so I sat with it. I sat in the hard, and I woke up the next morning and the back pain was gone. It was day 2 of my fast. And then all day 2, waves of hunger kept coming in, and I could feel this. You put in the chat if you've noticed this. I could feel these waves of like, you're hungry. Just God, you can make this all go away like this. You can make it all go away in this moment. Just go eat. How many people heard that little voice? It's like, what are you doing to yourself? Just go eat. Just go eat. And I was like, no. I want to know who I am on that 3rd day. I don't want to miss out on her. So you're like fighting a primal instinct to eat. And then the 3rd day came, and I was like, okay, I think I've turned a corner. I think I'm feeling a little bit better. Oh my God, the ketones are coming in. I can really feel my mind sharpening. And I was writing my book, and I was like, oh my God, the thoughts that are coming to me, they're so crystal clear. And I was researching ketones, and I told you all about ketones yesterday. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy I didn't give up on myself yesterday. And by the time I got to the end of day 3, I was like, I'm not even that hungry anymore. Put in the chat if you're not hungry anymore. I was like, I'm not even that hungry anymore. Do I want to eat? Maybe I want to keep going. But I wanted to have the experience ahead of you all. I wanted to be in the vibration and the frequency of what you were in ahead of you. And so I was like, no, just go ahead and go to bed the next morning. And so I kept fighting these urges to make myself comfortable. On Tuesday, when I decided to save my own life, and I grabbed my laptop because my book is on it, and I didn't want my lot of work on my book, didn't want the laptop to go up in flames. I grabbed what was the most important thing to me, which was my laptop and I guess my sweats. My son gave me this for Christmas, and that mattered. So I grabbed it. And I was coming out of my hill, and all these cars were coming out. Everybody was trying to go on to Sunset Boulevard. If you've been watching the news, Sunset Boulevard's ended up like it's gone. And I was coming out, and there was 2 ways I could turn. I could turn to the left and go right into the traffic of everybody trying to get out of the Palisades, or I could turn to the right that had no traffic. And once again, just like the fast, every ounce of my soul was like, go right, go right. It's easier, go right. But then I stopped because I now had done this already in my fast the week before, where I had to stop these thoughts of comfort because going to the right on Sunset Boulevard looked like it was going to be a quicker way out of the fire. But I had the neuronal pathway because I have trained that pathway through fasting. And I had the neuronal pathway because I had just had to do it the week before. I had to keep overriding discomfort and keep overriding discomfort. And so I sat at the stoplight and I logically, in my whatever place I could get to, was like, going to the left means more traffic. But if I look up at the sky, the black smoke and fire and wind is blowing to the right. So it makes no sense for me to go towards the fire. Even if the road looks open, it makes the most sense for me to go into the traffic and fight the upstream traffic. What happened, if you've been watching the news, is the people who had gone to the right, the palm trees further down the road, what I didn't know, had lit on fire. And the palm fronds were landing on people's car. And people started abandoning their car because their car had fireball palm trees landing on, and it was bumper to bumper. People just got out of their cars and screamed and yelled and went crazy. And hours later, to get fire engines in there, you've probably been seeing it, they had to get bulldozers to come in and move those cars. And so those cars are destroyed. I didn't let a moment of comfort misdirect me. I paused. I thought through the process for a hot moment, and I went into the harder path. No doubt I got out of the Palisades faster than most people. I also had a team of people helping me get out. I had my husband finding me a hotel to go to. I had my sister in Massachusetts looking on Google Maps, navigating the side streets for me to get out. Because the hard path takes a pause, it takes a willingness to go in to the difficulty, and it takes people around you to help guide you through the hard path. This is the state of health we are in right now. And so I am not telling you my story for empathy. I am telling you my story so that we can all learn from it, so that we can all understand that the life game is not about comfort. The life game is sometimes about going in the most illogical traffic chaos. People were running up and down the streets, but people were trying to get their kids out of the local schools. You had people directing traffic that weren't police people. And I chose to go into that chaos and grab my community to guide me. And I got out fast because of it. If you want out of the chronic disease situation that the world is in right now, that's what you're going to need to do. It's going to be uncomfortable. And it's going to be scary. And everybody's going to tell you, go right, go right, go. There's no traffic over there. Go right. It's really easy. Go right. But going right in health right now, what that means is eating the food that feels good to your brain. What that means is eating all day, because I can't eat. Most people can't even go 7 to 8 hours without food. It means trauma bonding over food with people, because all the girlfriends go out and eat together, and I don't want to disrupt that. So I don't want to like upset the boat. It means doing health when maybe your spouse is like, are you crazy? Why are you doing this? It means like overriding that signal in your brain that is telling you over and over and over again, what are you doing? Why are you going upstream? You do go to the left, go into it, go into the discomfort, grab your tribe, and together guide yourself out of the chronic disease problem that we are in right now. I just did a YouTube video about a month ago on non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and we have a team of people that watch my YouTube channel, and they tell me what you all are responding to, and I keep getting back that everybody wants to know about non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and I'm like, are you serious? Everybody wants to know how to overcome that. And then my researcher, I have a team of full-time researchers that bring me all the current stats and everything. He brought me by 2050, no, by 2030, because it's close, it's in 5 years. I want you to hear this. By 2030, 50% of Americans will have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Next to your brain, your liver is the most important organ in your body. 50% of Americans are going to have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That means it wasn't alcohol induced, it was sugar induced. It was toxic oil induced. It was refined carbohydrate induced. So yes, sometimes we turn left and we decide, I'm not going to eat. Sometimes we turn left into the difficulty and we eat the thing that didn't give us the most fantastic dopamine hit. It's okay. It's okay to eat good food that doesn't give you joy. That's fine. In college, a lot of people did shots at the bar. Was that tasty? You did that so you could get some kind of mental something or another. Sometimes you eat your greens and you don't enjoy it, but you eat them anyways because you are going into the difficulty to save yourself, because everybody else is going in the right direction. I mean, it's so insane how I had to fight an instinct to not go what appeared the easiest path. And I'm going to ask you to keep fighting that. Keep fighting this. And when your doctor, you go into your doctor's office and they say, we don't know what's wrong with you, here's an antidepressant, you stand up for yourself and you say, help, be a partner with me in my health. Don't just give me something to shut up my symptoms. Be a partner with me in my health. And you stand up for yourself. And when you go, out to lunch with your girlfriends and they're like, oh, are you still eating that healthy way? You understand that what you're doing is you are being a mirror for those people. And what they're seeing is somebody who went left into the difficulty, and they didn't want to go left into the difficulty. They didn't want to do that. They wanted to go right. And they wanted to go the non-trafficky way that was going to lead them with palm fronds burning on their car. Think about that metaphor every freaking time. Go left into it. Don't go away from it. Gather the people that are there to guide you. I literally, in my head, was like the only people, I needed my tribe around me, and they needed to have two skill sets as I went into the left to navigate how to get out of the Palisades, which is now completely completely burned, completely gone. So I had two requirements to the people to help me get out of the Palisades. And the first was they had to be in my inner circle. And the second is they had to know how to get where I was. They had to know how to guide me. I couldn't think enough to get to Waze to tell me how to get out. So I called my sister, because my sister and I grew up in LA, and we grew up in the Palisades. We grew up in Malibu Palisades area, and she lives in Boston, but she knew how to navigate me. And I told her, I'm like, I just passed Bienvenida. And she's like, okay, are you close to El Medio? Because when you get to El Medio, you're gonna need to turn right. And then and so she knew where I was and how I was and then she used her resources to help me out. When we are going down our health path, that is what we need to do. We go into the difficulty, we gather the people we love, and then we gather the knowledgeable people that are guiding us. This is why those of you in my Reset Academy, thank you. Thank you. This is what we're trying to do. The whole Reset Academy was literally developed to get people off social media so that I could guide you to the left and I could put you through a community experience, and so that I could rally thousands of people who were going left together, that I could get us all going in the right direction so we could save ourselves from chronic disease. That was the whole purpose of the Academy. And we kept the cost as low as we possibly could so that it could be approachable for everybody. So if you haven't joined the Academy, join us, because we're all going left together. And we are surrounding ourselves in the difficulty by lifting each other up, by cheering each other on, by honoring that it's difficult, by bucking the healthcare system that wants to keep us asleep and is profiting from our taste buds and our dopamine. This is what it looks like to get out of this chronic health problem we are in. No politician at this particular moment is going to save you. So those of you in America, if you think there's hope, I'm going to stay optimistic with the possibility of some changes to the food industry, but the profits are way too high. So it is a moment to heal, to save yourself and go left. So when you get done with this fast and you are like, I don't know what to do now, you can come join us in the Academy. And I don't mean that other than we're just a bunch of people going left together. But I want you to call in your head, what I want you to remember when it gets hard is that you're going left. You're going left. And I didn't know if I was going to be on gridlock in Sunset. And like, it felt so instinctually wrong to go to the left when going to the right was going to be a quicker way down to the beach. And it felt like I needed to get to the beach. And yet I had enough sense to go left. This is what we do. We go into it. We don't go away from it. If you don't want chronic disease, it starts with you being willing to do what other people aren't willing to do. The reason we have 50% of Americans going to have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is because they'd rather go right. They'd rather take the chance of comfort. That chance didn't bode very well for the residents of the Palisades. And it's not boding very well for the people who are at home eating ultra processed foods. So when I say that 3-day water fasts are life-saving, I am here personally to tell you I am so grateful for the new neuronal pathway I had exercised the week before I had to make a very critical decision for myself. And it was that water fast that did it, because it was fresh in my mind. It was like, this is uncomfortable. I know discomfort. I just did some discomfort last week, and it comes in waves. So it's not going to hang around forever. So I just did discomfort. It gave me a moment to realize what's important. Okay, what's important is my safety. Okay, well, that means going to the left, because the wind and the smoke and the fire is going to the right. So even though the highway is open, that doesn't make sense. And then gathering people who could navigate me. And I let me know if you're getting this, because I have sat in the trenches with so many people, so many people. One of the last really good conversations that I had with Lanny before Lanny died, it was like 2 weeks before she died. I had a really brief, it was like a party in her house, like the last three, she was so loved. And it was like the last 3 months of her life. And 2 weeks before she died, I had a unique moment where I was sitting there with her alone. And I said, "Can I ask you a question?" And she said, "Of course." And I said, "What am I going to do?" Like, it was like the only time we really had a moment to talk about this incredible work we had done together. And I was like, where am I going to go with our message? Because it was our message. And she looked at me and she said, "Mindy, I'm going to be really honest with you. Um, I don't think people are going to get themselves healthy until they are willing to do the work." And I looked at her and I was like, well, that's kind of depressing. She's like, I really don't think people are going to do the work. They're going to need to do the work to not end up where I am. And I left that conversation and I was like, oh, wow, like I can't believe 10 years of going into schools and of hosting hundreds of people in these and trying to get our message out on her last final weeks. That's what she's giving me, is that she doesn't think that people are going to be willing to do the work. And the one thing to know about me is that one of my superpowers is, if you don't believe I can do something, just watch me. And you disprove me, and I will prove you that if I feel like it's right, I will do everything to prove you wrong. And so, on the day she died, ironically, I had set up my first talk at Silicon Valley corporations. I wanted to continue what Lanny and I had started doing. And so I set up a talk. And the crazy thing, I had set it up when she told me people weren't willing to do the work. And I was like, I'm gonna make sure we get people doing the work. So I'd already set up this talk at a high tech company in Fremont, California. And it was on a Thursday morning, and I was to be there at their lunch break. And at 10 o'clock, I got a call from her mom saying that she passed. And I went out and did 100 talks that year. I did 2 talks a week, um, to as many Silicon Valley companies as I could find. And I started every single talk with this question: how many of you have a plan to not get cancer? And everything from an audience of 30 people to audience of hundreds of people, what people said back to me when I asked that question is they laughed. Like, who are you to say that there's a plan to not get cancer? And there would always be one or two that would raise their hand. And I would wait for the laughter to stop. And I would say, tell me your plan. And I would give these people airtime to talk about, I'm eating well, I'm prioritizing sleep. And all of their coworkers would look at them and be like, you had a plan? There's a plan? And it created this opening. And then I always went in and told Lanny's story. Lanny didn't have a plan until it was too late. And then she didn't have the chance. If she could have done it, she spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on trying to get herself well. Crazy, getting outside the healthcare system. If she could have started where you all are starting, she would have. And so the goal of our taking incredible care of our bodies is to do the opposite of what everybody else is doing. Our goal with our own health is to know that nothing else in your life matters but your own safety, whether that is emotional safety, whether that is physical safety, and whether that is, whatever, mental safety and your health. Nothing in your life is going to work without your health. So all of these people that you're making excuses for because you're like, oh, I can't, if I do X, Y, and Z, they're going to think like I'm one of those crazy people that started fasting now. Yeah, go to the left. Go to the left. Do it. It's uncomfortable. Create the neuronal pathways. You are doing it for yourself. You are saving yourself millions of dollars. You are doing it for your loved ones. And yes, it's messy. And yes, it's difficult. And every single person I've sat at their deathbed, if they could get their life back, they would have done that. They would have absolutely done that. But you don't realize until you are in that critical moment of survival what matters. I am so grateful I went to the left. I am so grateful I went to the left. I'm so grateful I knew in a split second who my tribe was and who I could call on to guide me out. And so if you land in the supermarket over the next week or so, and you are like, yeah, I just wanted my Doritos. I'm really looking forward to my hamburger, my fries, and my Big Mac. I want you to think about me exiting a fire and having the possibility of taking the easy route or the hard route, but understanding the patterns of the wind. The patterns of the health wind right now are saying if you keep yourself comfortable, if you eat foods with long ingredient lists, if you keep skimping on sleep and think that's some kind of badge of honor, if you keep taking the easy medication instead of asking for the lifestyle tool, you are going to the right. You are heading towards the fire and you just can't see it. Go into the difficult. We are all there with you. We are all there. Every time I'm at a dinner looking at a menu, trying to decide what the restaurant has provided for me, I have to scan the menu. Is this grass fed? Is it not grass fed? Is it organic? Is it not? I'm with people who are like, what are you ordering? I'm like, I don't know what I'm ordering because I'm over here analyzing what's healthy, what's not healthy, trying to think not what my taste buds want, but what does my body need? That is a left move. That is a go to the left move. So I'd much rather look at a menu and be like, bingo. Yep, I'd like that. I'd like the thing that's going to make my dopamine receptors go off the charts. But no, I sit with it in the company of people. Now people know me and they're like, what are you ordering and why are you ordering it? But we can do this together. We can save each other and we can save ourselves, but it's going to take together and it's going to be a willingness to go together. It's going to be constantly questioning comfort. Question comfort. Sometimes I know I've been the one that is like, women need recovery, women need rest. We do. So that's what we will discuss in the Reset Academy, because there is a fine line between recovery and rest and discomfort. Just like you're a sugar burner and a fat burner, you need to be in rest and recovery, and you need to push through. But when it comes to your food choices, when it comes to your willingness to fast or not fast, go to the goddamn left. And think about it when you are somebody's 65 hours in. Amazing. Somebody just said Dr. Casey Means, she lives in my neighborhood. She's on my list to reach out. And I don't know, I know I'm pretty sure she went to the left, because I saw a lot of people on the left. But stop looking for somebody else to save you with your health. Stop looking for the easy food that just gives you a pleasure hit. Stop going with the trends of everybody else. Care so deeply about yourself that you're willing to go into the discomfort. Care so much about the people around you. They love you. You know how many of my closest friends and family are like, I'm so happy you got out early. My sister, who guided me out, was like, I'm so happy you called me and you got out early. I'm so happy I didn't grab my damn eye mask and the collection of books I wanted to read, because I needed to save myself, and I needed to go to the left, and I needed to go in and out in a way that I could safely do. So think of that as you start to reintegrate back into food. Know that we are all here with you. So, if you need more support, join us in the Reset Academy. This is what we're doing. I just gathered a team of experts. I now have a mindset coach. We've got Paige, who's going to be diving into detox. We've got Mona, who grew up on an ashram and is going to teach us rituals. If there's never been a better year to be in the Reset Academy, because you have literally thousands of people doing health together, stuck on Sunset Boulevard, trying to navigate a chronic disease fire that is going against the comfort of that everybody is addicted to. Go to the left. Go to the left. It matters. It matters to everybody. The last thing I will say, we can't do it alone. We can't do it alone. That is one thing that I am learning in this. The first place I went, because I was a hotel, and people had boxes of paperwork and that they were saving in bird cages and dog kennels, and it was just chaos, and everybody was leaning into each other. And then we got a notification that Santa Monica was being evacuated, and so I had to figure out where I was going. But I had two people that had already reached out to me and said, if you have anywhere you need to go. One of them was Chef Leslie, for those of you that have bought Eat Like a Girl, and the other one was Lisa Bilyeu, Women of Impact, where I am right now. And so I already knew two women that were soft landings for me that I could go to. Are you that person for other people? Have you, throughout this whole experience, have you shared what you've learned? Have you invited people into this journey with you? Have you told people, I'm healing myself, with a group of people that are, yes, bucking the system? They're not putting their money into big pharma anymore. They are going in a different direction. I am going there. Would you like to join me? And both Lisa and Leslie had reached out to me earlier in the day, and they're like, I'm here for you, girl, whenever you need me. And so there was a moment at 9:00 on Tuesday night that I needed them, and I found them. Are you that person to other people as we all go left together? And there are people in our lives that need to know about your success. They need to know you are safety. Leslie's home was safety for me. Lisa's home is safety for me. Can we as collectively be safety for the people who keep fucking turning right? And can we say, I turned left. And I'm saving myself. And when you're ready to join me, and we can go left together. So thank you for allowing me to show up this way this week. I will be here tomorrow, I think. I should say, I don't know, but we evacuated at 9 o'clock last night from the Hollywood Hills. We're back. Everything looks safe. So if everything is safe, I will be here with you tomorrow. I hope you see the depth of a 3-day water fast and how it can help you. And please know you're not alone. Please know you're not alone. Until the day I die, I will continue to pull people out of going right into the flames of big food and big pharma who do not care about you. They do not care about you. They care about their profits. So come to the left with us and we can do it together. Thank you. Thank you.
I know you're struggling to lose weight. It may be your fasting length. So in this video, I'm going to show you the perfect fasting length to unstick weight loss. In fact, it's such an incredible tool for weight loss. I think you should start with fasting before you change your food to be able to get into that door in for losing weight.